I always had dreams since I was 5 years. Strange visions. And I was really scared about this. I didn't want to go to Tibet. So I asked my father. He's not answering.
Questo è più facile. Anche adesso va bene perché se lo mettiamo tra.
Ma toccherà che non fa male. Nel mio borsa nera lì c'è mala, è borsa del mala, piccolo. Tutto fatto?
Ma direi di sì. Questa borsa della festa è benissimo.
My father is a famous Tibetan master known by a lot of people. He had to escape from Tibet, so he feels this responsibility. It's like a mission. He knows that the Tibetan culture has a great value. The problem is that I don't know this, or maybe I didn't know this, and I didn't care about this 20 years ago.
Vieni, via, vieni via di qui. Niente più ti lega a questi luoghi, neanche questi fiori azzurri. Via, via, neanche questo tempo grigio, pieno di musica.
As long as I remember, my father was always traveling to teach Dzogchen, the highest path in Tibetan Buddhism.
We are being aware.
In Tibet, Dzogchen was kept secret. My father went against the rules of the Tibetan system, and he was the first to teach it in the West.
This is for me. Are you sure?
Many were expecting him to be a monk and teach in a formal way, but not my father.
Vieni via con me. Entra in questo amore buio, non perderti.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up. Rinpoche has arrived.
Many people today, they have a very passive idea. They think, oh, I go to a teacher. There is a wonderful teacher, powerful teacher. I go in front of this teacher and stay there, and then I receive transmission. And then they say, oh, I feel a very strong vibration from this teacher. I receive something. And the Westerners speak always vibration. Vibration sometimes is useful, but not main thing. Principle in the Dzogchen teaching which we ask is, you open your eyes, you open your senses, you observe, you discover your condition, your limitations. Why? Because that way you can discover how is real your condition. That is good for you.
Via, via, vieni via con me. Entra in questo amore buio, pieno di uomini. Via, entra e fatti un bagno caldo. C'è un accappatoio azzurro, fuori piove un mondo freddo. That's wonderful, that's wonderful, that's wonderful. Good luck, my baby, that's wonderful, it's wonderful, that's wonderful. I dream of you. Cheers,
The life jacket has two mouthpieces, both for everything.
Prego. Ma deve portare anche questo giù.
Rosa, ci abbiamo un po' di liquore? Il bicchiere così ci vuole, uomini semplici, uomini normali. Siamo pronti a mangiare.
I see my father once each year, maybe, no? For 3 or 4 days. We talk about something very general.
Aggiungete soia, sale, tutto quello che volete, perché qui non
We don't have a real emotional relation, me and my father. At least my sister, my mother, they have, but I don't have really. We are quite far away.
Tutti siamo molto egoisti.
My father don't understand the concept of being father and son. He always treat me like the son of a master, not a father or son of any Italian family.
Tanto di pulisci, dai.
Sono bagnati per adesso.
Sono partito. Non ho avuto tempo di vedere.
Da questo io voglio ricavare una presentazione
Sì.
in letteratura tibetana.
My father has never expressed himself when he was a kid. When he was young, he was taken from his parents. He had to stay in monastery and study from 4 or 5 in the morning and to act already like a master. But I don't understand why, if we are living in Italy, we have to act in this way.
Questa parte è un po' simile al Tibet orientale, sai? Il Tibet orientale dove non c'è foresta sono così. Ecco per la montagna. In Tibet, my family was a very, very ordinary family. In the countryside, they are working very hard in the field. When I was 5 years, a very important Lama came to my house. They brought letters of reincarnation, say I am a Rinpoche, a reincarnation of a Lama called Dharmaraja. In general, when we say birth of reincarnations, most of the time they have some signs. My uncle, Chense Rinpoche, told me later, when I was born in the winter time, most of the time there is also snow. The morning I was born, it seems a little strange, but there was many flowers. So they consider that as a sign.
My father arrived to Italy and he had to start from zero. Because he was a Tibetan scholar, he was asked to teach Oriental languages in the university in Naples, where he still works.
Una specie di chiesa. Queste sono
My mother, she was very young, about 18, 20, something like this. And my father was 10 years older. He was Catholic. Then she became interested in Buddhism. They met at a painting show, something like this. Then they start to have a relation and they get married. When my father had to travel, to move, we remained three, me, my sister, and my mother, and no people came. When my father came, a lot of people.
Io godo così quando devo godere qualche cosa. Anche se un giorno non mi dispiace. Ah, bello. Godo. Però non è che dimentico samsara. Mi ricordo benissimo, ancora sta nel samsara.
Tanto mi toccava a me che alla
My family is composed of hundreds of people. I mean, there wasn't anymore a family. Every day there were students from the university at home asking for Dzogchen teachings.
Come si dice, un po' stufato.
How can you study if you have always a person maybe sleep in your room?
Midnight.
It was always like a happening.
Io ogni sera esco.
Cosa vuoi portare?
I libri.
Quale?
I miei libri.
Quale sarebbe il tuo libro?
Questi sono tutti miei, sono.
Sei sicuro?
Sì, è tutta roba mia. Mi serve per l'esame in inglese questo. Sai, Jung magari ci scappa in psicologia.
Ah, che fai Jung?
Jung scappa in psicologia.
Jung sai che vuol dire?
In tibetano.
Come si chiama?
Allora non ci...
Canna di zucchero.
E allora non ci interessa, scusa, Io pensavo che era qualcosa di complicato.
Tutto aspetta, ciao.
Ciao ciao. Buon viaggio.
Ciao.
Vai brava.
Sei bravi.
Adesso possiamo stare in pace.
Pace. Vita la vita. Mi ha chiesto, possiamo avere medaglie da Dalai Lama, dice noi.
Le ha portate già.
Dice, io ho detto va bene, dice che questo è da alcune case per stare questa gente monache.
Fatto bene.
Sì, sì, dice che ha preparato alberi, si vede. Oh. Che bello!
Madonna.
Che bello, che forma, guarda.
Bella forma adesso, anche sopra.
Gabinetto all'anticapati. Vero, non scherzo. I am Tibetan and my culture is important for me. I must save my culture, the Dzogchen teaching. So I have such a responsibility.
La sua lambretta.
Carine.
23 arriva in Italia il Dalai Lama.
Marisco com'è?
Non c'è traduttore. Ah sì, detto così? Sì. Ci vuole qualcuno tradurre proprio in italiano, direttamente. Adesso cominciamo? Chi sono uomini forti? After I finished my studies in a monastery in Tibet, I made my teacher, Chanchu Doje.
Non alzate tanto adesso.
Chanchu Doje himself is not monk. He is a kind of yogi, a very good practitioner. Finally, I understood. Knowledge of Dzogchen teaching is not only explanation with a book, but also being with teacher, talking, doing something. There is always something related with the knowledge of teaching.
Per fare le forme.
Le base del torma.
Ah, il Dalai Lama.
Del Dalai Lama?
Ma
Secondo
conosco
te,
io.
tu sei più importante del Dalai Lama?
No.
Come no? Sei più importante, sicuro?
No.
Se ti senti fame, per esempio, chi mangia, tu o Dalai Lama?
Io?
Allora ti sei più importante. Ciascuno sente che se stesso è più importante, vero? Naturale questo.
A lot of persons used to ask me, oh, you should be wonderful living with your father, you are very lucky. It's not like this. It's not that he is in the same way with the people, with me. He used to say, if you don't behave, I send you to the monastery, or if you suffered a lot. Because the Tibetan monastery, they used to beat kids. I always hope that something like I find some holes that I can find a way to express something to my father, no? Also, the last time I saw him, I tried to explain some things, but I don't know if he understood something or not, because he doesn't express. He doesn't say, oh, I understand. He says nothing. He doesn't answer. He just listens.
In aprile ci sarà l'inaugurazione con il Dalai Lama dell'istituto Shangshung vicino a Grosseto. E intanto grazie di essere qui nello studio. Senta, che significa Rinpoche?
Sì, Rinpoche in tibetano vuol dire prezioso, cioè un modo di chiamare un po' per rispetto il sistema tibetano.
Senta, quanti sono rimasti tibetani nel mondo?
Il Dalai Lama sempre pronuncia tibetani tutti globali e sono 6 milioni.
Ecco,
quindi quando è distrutto il monastero anche sembra che le basi culturali è distrutto. Alcuni anni fa anche in Cina è stato. In 1959 Chinese occupation started in East Tibet. Chinese communists came prison and killed many Tibetans. I had very bad dreams indicating to God. For that reason, I left. When I arrived in Italy, I don't know who is still alive or dead or what happened. Later, in 1978, someone told me that my family, everybody died.
Quindi io non sono una persona politica, ecco, prima di tutto, non ho anche fiducia tanto politica, ma ho molta fiducia della cultura di un popolo e io voglio fare qualcosa. Sia per approfondire studi, per conoscere un po' l'autenticità del valore.
Pronto? Pronto?
Okay.
Sì.
Sognato.
Che hai segnato?
Devo capire come funziona.
Per fare così. Guarda. No, per fare così.
My father's idea of life should be you always represent something.
Ecco, va bene.
He always said you are very important. Everybody's waiting for you in Tibet.
Guarda, l'ho messo bene.
You have to do as I'm doing, and you have this responsibility.
Da da da. Da da da.
Vai, su.
저든 디노네 자가 주네 캔도 조금 더 와. 제가 대사 되는데.
다사 예부터 내 잡아 줘.
그래.
살아외도 사실. 나 주주가 내 작수 지도 전혀.
근데 로봇 텐데 우용도 봐.
어째서 미국 통역 뭐도.
예.
됐다. 대신 너무快了下。对。啊，这是什么？
My son, when he was in his mother's womb, I had dreams. Some dreams of my uncle, Chense Rinpoche, who was one of my teachers. I went to visit him with my wife. My uncle gave a kind of empowerment. And that moment there is a red light. This light is dissolving in my wife. Then a very important Tibetan Lama in India, the head of Sajjava school, he wrote me a letter, and he is saying, my son is a reincarnation of my uncle. So then I wrote him saying, do you mean my uncle is died? Why? Because we don't know. We have no any news from Tibet. So in my idea, still my uncle is maybe still alive in Tibet somewhere. So then this Lama, Sajjapa, he said he feels my uncle is no more alive, but he feels my son is his reincarnation.
Yes, I have what are commonly called the proofs, like I had a dream many times of a place, no? And then I recognized this place in a photo, one place in Tibet, very old place. But a lot of people could say, "Oh, this is a proof." I don't know. I don't put these kind of things as a base of a believing. A lot of people look for myths, look for legends, look for saints, for very powerful people. They like all these colors and stuff and visions and things like this. Why they don't go to the cinema? I mean, I'm here, I'm living. I don't want to be the shadows of something, of someone. Everybody says, you're so lucky of being a reincarnation. Everybody knows about me, and nobody knows me at all. What I want to do is to work as a photographer and to play music. I don't like to be not myself. I don't want this responsibility, mostly. I'm not afraid of it.
난 리소토리네. 근데 딱 봐서 말해 삼는아야. 그래서 키가 알았잖아. 나도 미치고 투유 삼 챙겨야마다. 민마다지 투유 삼벌서 스트레이저스지 싸우는 재밌는 거. This is for
In general, when someone recognizes as a reincarnation, then they're doing publicity and also sending in India to the monastery for a training. I didn't do that because I don't want to condition a yeshe.
Lo degradiamo? Ah, guarda.
If he is a real reincarnation of my uncle Chenze, we should see how he manifests.
My father thinks that a son of a master should be similar to a master. No needs, no fears. Not in the sense of fear of the dark, fear of life, fear of living. I'm not afraid of dying, but I'm afraid of living.
Vediamo se è questo. Ehi, mamma!
Ciao!
Ciao, sono appena arrivato, sono in macchina finalmente.
Dove sei?
A Roma, cioè a Roma, Fiumicino, sto tornando a casa.
Ti è andato tutto bene?
Having children, having a family, having a career was an important wish. As soon as I decided to get married, then I applied for a stable job. I was working with IBM, driving a lot. I had to get into a certain kind of social environment, you know? You're driving best car possible, you're living in the best way possible. People were very cool. I felt like I have to do it fast, that I didn't have much time to do that.
Vuoi portare anche qua?
Già addormentato?
No.
Semi-addormentato?
Anche.
Neanche.
Un quarto ho dormito.
Un quarto al massimo.
A Diego. Diego, salute. Salute tutti.
Salute.
A Diego.
Vai.
Now I live in a very common way, very Italian common way.
No, io no, grazie.
I'm happy to be a normal, common father.
Buonasera. Sit down, please. Life can be one day. Life can be 1 week. Can be also some years. Our life is just like a candle lighted on an open place. One day we arrive at the end of our life. Then we notice surprise. Oh, this is the end of life. What I do now? What I did? Being present of time is very, very important. Time is passing and it is impermanence. Come va?
Questo insegnamento oggi è molto bello.
I really wanted to thank you from the depth of my heart.
Okay, very good.
I'm realizing my own life myself, and I think it's really due to your compassion.
Grazie per essere qui, insomma.
Va bene.
Namaste. My name's Eric, and I'm in big turmoil. I'm seropositive, and I need your help.
Yeah.
And I would like you to give me some advice, some mantras to practice so as to get better. Please.
First, you should check well with some doctor. That is very important. But most important is also doing practice for relaxing. How Buddha said, everything is unreal, just like a big dream. That is something real, our situation. So even there are many problems, not concentrating on problems, but problems are relative. So you do your best, relaxed, etc., not giving importance. And then you can enjoy more life.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, everybody has problems. And the solution of these problems is my father.
Ciao.
Of course, I think that the teaching has value. But a guru is not a god. He is not like a saint, you know. Maybe for him, because of the fact that it was normal in Tibet, he thinks that it has to be like this. I can't stand this situation. You forget my father is human. The community was developing everywhere. and my father's schedule exploded. People all over the world asked him to teach. For me, my career started to run in a very fast way. I had to be the winner. It was stressful, quite stressful.
Sit down, please.
To create a stable future for the Dzogchen community, my father decided to train teachers.
We don't control ourselves with the rule.
There is no way that you learn how to do it only listening. You have to do it and practice.
It's the first time they've had 2 hurricanes back to back. Watch your arm here.
Now my mother follows him everywhere when he travels.
Wait.
Che fa solamente venire fuori in casa.
Ma che è lì? Godere, io godo. We are present. Ka is saying, be present. Rosan kalakada gyot.
Chao trong cái pin nó phải là gì? Chao trong cái.
Me mamad ni yada de rosa kalakada de. Ok. Tu vuoi andare dentro? Sì. Io apro. Ciao. Come va? Mangia.
Piena.
Sì.
Sì.
Loro pensano che tu non partecipa.
Va bene, possono anche pensare così.
Ma pensare così non è carino, no?
Non importa, sai, perché tanto non è possibile fare sempre quello che piace agli altri.
Ma certo, sempre cerca di fare.
Non è possibile, quindi sono liberi di pensare come vogliono.
Sempre fanno il meglio per far contentare la gente. Come il Papa.
Che fa il Papa?
Papa dice pace e bene per tutti, no?
No, ma il Papa lo dice anche dalla televisione, quindi non serve che vado.
Rosa's always asking me, please stay with him, no? She says, what can I do if he's having a problem? I'm too weak, no? It's dangerous when he's in the water. I'm a little bit worried to know that he's alone. Someone has to pick up from the water, no? And she's very heavy, no? You need to be strong to do this, no? Or you have to swim with him, no, for example. This is not easy. You have to swim well, no?
Ecco. Quello non vale niente.
My family, they feel very often I don't take care for much family and myself. I'm taking care more students and the community. It is not so very easy.
Ciao. Benissimo, grazie. Tutto va bene. Ciao.
If I am being a teacher for many people, I must take care also many people. I must reply people what they need. So I couldn't be an ordinary father of a family.
Grazie.
want to ask why I'm standing in the same place all the time. I'm not growing in my meditation. Nothing changed in my mind.
Practice is not for changing. Practice is for getting in your knowledge, understanding.
But I haven't got. That's not changed my knowledge.
Knowledge?
Yes.
Knowledge you receive and you discover, not change something. There's nothing very much to change. You must understand a little how mind is playing, how we are distorted with mind, etc. Not thinking I can change and that tomorrow I become someone else. Not that is the principle. One arrow.
Tirarlo un po' su.
Stare un po' così perché
Un cuscino un po'. Giralo te.
My father's illness was a shock for everybody.
Dire che è difficile, insomma.
La vita è difficile.
We were told that it was a kind of cancer.
Però come si fa qua? Bisogna togliere questo.
I was very worried because I always saw my father as a strong person, a strong character.
Pulisci il televisore.
È uscita per Pisa preso, dopo ho fatto la strada.
Che cambia?
Prendere un po', no? Vuoi prendere, te ne lascio un po'? Sta.
Di questi.
My father, he needs help. But to be helped, he needs someone that is similar to him.
Perché non nelle foto.
What can I help? May I give him?
I due sotto ci sono, adesso che.
Only problems.
Ah, adesso vado.
Appoggio qua.
Sì.
Ciao. Ciao papà. Stai bene? Mi raccomando.
Ciao, ci vediamo a Ravenna.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao.
We know that we have problems with our father. Then when we become fathers, we have the same problem. Because we are men, so we are stupid, no? Because we repeat always the same errors.
You could pass 10 times till now.
I thought maybe there's nothing to do. Then I thought maybe I must not think only dying, but I should try for overcoming that illness, for controlling that negativity. Then I started to do practice, like mantras and dream night practice. Also laying on the water, integrating in the elements, can feel something more alive. Then I discovered after 1 month diminished this illness in my blood. Even I'm dying today, I don't afraid at all. Everything is illusion, unreal, just like a dream. Blood pressure, vitamin. When I have idea or something, I think it is important, then I can get easily this reply in a dream. Before I met my teacher, Chanchu Dorje, I have some interest in dreams, but always that is a dream. Not I am being aware in a dream. But later, when I met Chanchu Dorje, then developed dream, becoming aware, and now, then later becoming more and more familiar with that. So I feel dream is something very important for practitioners, how can develop that capacity of practice. That's a unique way. I remained with Chanchu Dorje in Tibet, maybe 6 months, something like this. I had to leave immediately because in my country, doing revolution, I couldn't remain there. Chanchu Dorje also later went in a prison. Also, my uncle Chense died in a prison.
Arrivare a fare qualcosa.
The last time when I saw my father, he told me again the story of the reincarnation. You have to go to Tibet because there are a lot of people there waiting for you. Old people know my last life. You have like a mission, no?
Certo, lo sanno, lo sanno.
I don't remember really the story of my reincarnation because I removed automatically from my memory, no? When you have a shock, no? You have an accident, you really don't remember. And this is the same thing. I removed because if I want to live, I have to live as I am now. Anyway, you are nothing now if you always think about what you were, no?
Yeah.
Hai fame, Rinpoche?
Insomma, non è come il lupo, povero Rosa. Più stanco che fame.
Cos'è l'Italia? Che roba è? I'm sure that my father, when he says he's happy to be in Italy, is not true. He would like to go back to Tibet, but the problem is that he won't find what he left, because he lost all people that he loved. And this means that he's trying to let these people live in him. He believes most of the people around him are reincarnation of people from his life in Tibet.
Papa knows it.
Benanntheit möchte weiter fortfahren mit dem Platz wieder ein. Absicht entwickeln, in das Mandala der Gottheit ein.
I am thinking often of my uncle, Chenzer. He was a very, very good teacher of Dzogchen. But in his life, he had many problems with monasteries, corruption, and the bureaucracy system. And he always escaped from this situation all his life. So then I am knowing how my son was in his past life. Then I don't want any more to create these kind of problems.
Margarita, Jennifer seguita. Buenas noches.
Ecco Gumba.
When come your wife?
My wife will come next month because my daughter was pregnant. We had the birth of her daughter. Human being has mainly 4 kinds of suffering. Birth, getting old, illness, and dying. So this is called the samsara. Samsara is just like ocean. And every day we are swimming in that, going right side, left side, behind, everywhere. Some people say, I don't like it to swim. But it is not so easy because in samsara, we are totally dependent on emotions. We are attached to people and also objects. To be free from samsara, we should learn how we can swim with less attachment and emotion.
E quanto ha oggi? 3 mesi?
3 mesi e 6 chili.
Opla.
Ti pesano?
Assaggiamo un pochettino
La bella Maya.
You then had her first baby girl, named Maya.
Vabbè, è chiaro, giusto, giusto, vedere se c'è il papà, non c'è.
Have your own family and change your life, big responsibility.
Non è che ti spaventi un po' te, Vero? È vero.
It goes till you die, no? For a long time, I was caring much about career. I was doing very stressful project, sleeping often not at home, no? I was basically driving. When I was driving, I started practicing a lot. It's very easy, now you put a CD, then you do Song of Aja 100 times, something like this. I start to work in a different way, no? Giving less importance to most of my ideas. I became a lot less stressed now when I was coming back home. And then I became a lot more efficient.
In general, we are organizing the teachers, of course, courses of yantra, danza, training with Zimbabwe, as you know.
We are also a bit not so pleased because we are seeing like a division.
So we all need to know how to collaborate, and collaboration will mean how to relate to each other and not to jump upon each other.
If we work with people, many people particularly, then we need very patience. It is not so easy to make happy and agree everybody. That we say, even Buddha couldn't do that.
The more the community was growing, the worse was the general situation.
No. No, you help to us only in that impact.
Because growing means also creating a lot more distance between students and teachers. My father was saying, when I die, everything will disappear. There will be groups and they will fight each other, just like Buddha, hating different schools.
Many people have such confidence for following teaching. I couldn't stop. That's my culpa. Of course, if there are possibilities, not sometimes, immediately I stop, but it is not possible. There is no way I can stop. Because it has such a big responsibility. Questo colore bellissimo che mi ricordo della mia malattia.
Ah, è vero.
Deve preparare la morire, la morte. Allora ho capito che anche alberi preparano la morte. Fa finta di essere bello, il colore. Poi fra pochi giorni tutte cadono giù, finito. Quello che muore è quello che c'è fisico, no? La coscienza non mica muore. Musulmani pensano che muore. Anche cristiani. La coscienza rinnova, no? Poi manifesta un nuovo corpo, più giovane, più carino.
My father couldn't say he needed help. When I saw him deluded, this I felt doesn't correspond to the life of a teacher. From my job, I had all this experience related to organizational problems, like team leading, normal knowledge from the business world. So if the same works perfectly for a company, I'm sure this should work for the Dzogchen community. I told Rinpoche, I will come here as a normal person. I said, okay.
It seems many people, take you just as a strange guy. The fact that you're Rinpoche's son means nothing to them, or something strange.
But
like they heard something bad of you.
We can't change people's mind, no?
Yes, but many people change their idea when they see you're a very normal person, very open. And, I don't know, maybe someone will change the idea after your visit.
Yeah, it could be. I hope so. So this is what we talk about today, how we will run smoothly the retreat. First of all, we have to solve problems related with communication. Think about, do you feel from your point of responsibility that there is a lack of communication? In what?
Ну, может быть, там в плане открытости. То есть есть как бы люди, которые как бы организуют. Сейчас есть люди как бы...
There is an issue of openness of this meeting.
They not trust to this person and they try to do...
Ah, they start to do by themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. Who is the project manager?
We have no...
Like, this is wrong. It's ridiculous to think that a group of people is running a retreat. You need at least one person that knows everything. What quality you should have? First of all, being able to communicate with all these people. Then, being able to be guilty. Being ready to fail, to be guilty, to have problems, to be called 24 hours a day, no? Well, why you Russian are so complicated?
I'm involved with so many things already, and I'm afraid I will not be able to do it, in a proper way. That's what I don't want to do. Just to take the responsibility and then really to fail with this job. So this is a bit...
When I think about myself, I say, but I didn't want to be the son of a master. So what I am, a mistake. A person that don't want to be what he is, and he is all to be something that he doesn't like to be. Obviously, for my father, I'm not a mistake. Because for him it's right, for me it's wrong.
Non ho neanche che farci, però. Perché fa scena, è bello da vedere il purba, che l'hanno messo qua, probabilmente. Perché hanno messo sta foto qui col cappello del ragù? Non sanno neanche di che monastero è, secondo me.
Sì.
No.
E chi è l'altra persona?
Chienza Rinpoche?
Ah, Kente.
Sì.
Questa è tua reincarnazione?
Sì.
Ah.
As soon as I decide to take seriously teaching, no? Then I said, okay, from this moment, it's your teacher. It's not anymore your father. Then if you have problem, you have to purify this problem. And I knew I would have problem. I knew this. Today, more people, sure.
We human beings in general, we have very strong ego. Always thinking I am perfect. I know everything. Other people, guilty one, not me. For that reason, my teacher, Changchu Dorje, asked me to distinguish two different functions of eyeglass and the mirror. With eyeglass, you are looking outside. You are looking at an object. You are being in a dualism vision. When you are looking in a mirror, appear your face. Some people say, you have very strange nose, for example. I don't like. I'm thinking, I have perfect nose. But if I can see in a mirror, and I have a little strange nose, then I discover. If I discovered myself, there's no discussion. So that means we must observe ourselves, our mind. How is mind?
One day I was still driving up and down to Rome. I start to have all these strange visions with water or light rays.
Sembri un ragazzo e basta.
Ah, un ragazzo normale sembro. Ma perché uno che insegna secondo te deve essere diverso? Mica devi essere vecchio con la barba per insegnare.
Sì, è vero. Tanto sei uguale, barba.
I just noticed that it was something that was not happening since a long time. When I was younger, it happened very often. A lot of people was always telling me, you have too strong a fantasy.
Sei bello.
Sei bello, papà? Meno male. Ancora sei piccolina, dici che papà è bello. Cazzo. Tu sei piccolina, quella crema che tu guarda. Che morbido adesso. Andiamo, vai, fuori. Andiamo a prendere il caffè. The same period I was working a lot for the Dzogchen community, no? Trying to make some change. And now these visions, instead of passing now, was increasing. I decided I had to quit my job. Once an Rinpoche told me, even Buddha could not make all his students happy. Then I start to have other dreams that I don't understand. A lot of other, with other things that I really don't know why I'm dreaming. Very precise, with a lot of indication and connected with things that happen in this month, but I don't know how to explain really what's the meaning.
And have you asked for Buddha?
Yeah, I asked, but he doesn't answer. So I don't know what to think about.
Guarda che ti racconto anche una cosa, mamma. Ho cominciato a vedere visioni dal libro. Io non vedo un libro, vedo delle parole.
Sì,
no?
sì.
Papà invece che vede un testo intero, però solo delle righe.
Lui vede il testo perché i testi sono nella lingua, no? Come lui è cresciuto.
No.
Se io capivo il francese mi arrivava in qualche modo in francese, insomma.
Sì, no, infatti quello è così adesso. No, io non pensavo che accadeva così, in qualche mese. Tra, che ne so, 5-6 anni, no? Si manifestano le prime cose, no?
Questa cosa non è fantasia, è molto precisa, proprio questa scientifica, ero sveglio la mattina alle 9.
Oh, ma sai quante sono le cose che non sono fantasie?
Assolutamente.
Vuol dire che è povero.
Ricchi può essere anche brutto. Sai questo maestro che si chiama Patrullo Rinpoche? Che cosa ha detto?
Che ha detto?
Ha detto, se tu ce l'hai una capra, c'è problema di capra. Se tu ce l'hai un po' di soldi, c'è il problema di soldi. Se tu ce l'hai una macchina, c'è il problema di macchina.
È vero, perché uno si può rubare.
Si può rubare, deve mettere benzina. Adesso benzina costa carissimo.
Forse è meglio.
Sì,
è meglio essere poveri.
Come dice Patrullo un po'
Tanto non c'è
Solo
niente.
per questo.
Tanto non c'è niente io. Cosa devo preoccuparmi di niente?
Sì. Ma se tu non c'è niente, non c'è da mangiare, che fai?
Cosa migliore è essere normale.
Davvero? Sotto è freddo. Freddo, ma va bene perché se è troppo calda. Ah, che bello. Che bello.
It's so difficult, this condition of student. Because I'm expecting instant recognition of my condition, no? From my father, which is my teacher. And now it's not arriving this. What this mean? Ma poi lo devi mangiare? Lo devi mangiare poi?
Toma? Toma, di solito dividono in padina e mangiano.
Quando c'è un'iniziazione arriva sempre qualcuno in più, eh?
Sì,
almeno 300 ci vogliono, guarda che vengono.
With my son, I am in general not insisting to do practice or follow your teaching. If he is really interested, of course, then I do my best for helping, for doing everything. But if someone is seriously following your teaching, There must be a confidence each other.
First, you need to receive initiation. So then you have that possibility to do that practice and produce that function.
Dobbiamo portare?
Porta qua.
Sì.
Sarva Bekenza Ame Ahum, Sarva Bekenza Ame Ahum, Sarva Abekenza Ame Ahum, Sarva Abekenza Ame Ahum. Who wondered? You are going to do Torma,
Sì.
no?
Metto in testa e poi prendo.
Il Torma deve mettere al centro.
Sì.
Mette sulla testa, poi dai una, no?
Sì, sì, sì.
Quello tu fai, no? Sì. Chi fa questo mantra? Tu. Kaya wakachita santa ame ahum, kaya wakachita sawa, abekinta ame ahum, kaya wakachita sarva abekinta ame ahum, kaya wakachita sarva abekinta ame ahum.
During the initiation, I felt a lot of emotions like fear, and I had a lot of visions. These visions were very simple, like nice places, nice scene about life in Tibet. Maybe this was the beginning, but I didn't feel I have to go to Tibet or I have to do something.
Thank you very much
For something.
We'd like you to come to Berkeley now.
Yeah, maybe, like give a talk.
Ah, okay, so in general, you don't have special problems.
No.
Because I don't have special answers.
No, oggi è la stessa cosa, che ci voleva io.
There was some kinds of expectation of me that I may manifest one way or the other way. Yeah, you go to Rinpoche and say this. You can tell him and stuff. Who was creating this expectation? Not only my father. Everybody was creating. Dico, sto solo controllando il file adesso. Adesso andiamo. Does it help that I am recognized as a reincarnation of a teacher? No. Creates only problem. Because people are expecting things more magical level. Friday is... Wait. Diego! Wait. Friday, aspetta. Friday, what's number is it?
The Friday...
It's everything okay? Everything's fine.
Andiamo. A casa. Andiamo.
Livello rituale, cosa si fa col purba?
Giova e Giova. Giova è unione.
Sì.
Giova è distruzione.
Sì.
Distruzione del tutti quelli che creano problemi per tutti gli esseri, sì, per l'insegnamento, eccetera.
Senti, io ho fatto un sogno. C'era un monaco vestito di arancione che mi dà un purba. E lui dice, adesso tu lo devi lanciare per andare al di là della visione dualistica. Questo era il senso, no? E io dico, sì, va bene, ma questo è un sogno, che faccio? Lo lancio? No, ma è simbolico, dice, il senso deve essere simbolico. Però a quel punto dico, per essere sicuro che il sogno non è una fantasia, guardo l'orario della sveglia. E poi effettivamente erano tipo le 4, poi mi sono svegliato, appena mi sono svegliato, riguardo l'orario, erano le 4:01.
Hai scritto notte per ricordare?
Sì, io scrivo sempre i sogni.
Quello è importante, perché sennò dopo non ricorda più. Anche quando ricordo si può continuare, anche si può sviluppare molte cose.
Però non c'erano parole o testi. Quindi ho pensato che era un sogno interessante, però non ho capito cosa potesse centrare la gente, sinceramente.
Once in summertime, I went to visit my uncle, Chenze, and he told me he had a dream. There is something important to discover. He said also this indication is saying must discover openly, publicly. So then he said he felt afraid. I said, how is it possible? You have indication very precise, must discover. He said, yes, but everything depends also circumstance. Many people, when they learn something, then they say, oh, I want to teach. I want to become teacher. Of course, if you do benefit for others, that is fantastic. But then you need to have capacity to do benefit for others. For example, a person has illness and fall down on the street. Of course, you are thinking, oh, that person is suffering, I should help. If you have that capacity, it means you must be a doctor. But it is not sufficient. Only you say, oh, I am sorry, you feel bad, and you are taking in your arms, etc. Even you are giving 100 kissing, but it doesn't help. Buddha never said you need to have devotion and your realization depends on me and I make you realize. Buddha said, I give you the teaching, the path, and the realization depends on you. Thank you.
Ma ieri è nervosissimo, che è successo?
Non so, niente.
Niente. Non so.
Pomeriggio.
È arrivato incazzato un compa.
Sì.
È arrivato proprio incazzato. È stato nervoso tutto l'insegnamento. Poi ha pure cazziato tutti alla fine. A sentire come sta il cavo. Come stai? Tutto bene?
Bene, bene, bene.
Bene. Mi sembravi nervosissimo, cosa è successo? Mi sono preoccupato. Tu sei arrivato in gompa arrabbiato.
Dall'insegnamento. Questo è molto generale, no?
Ah, in generale ti senti un po' così, diciamo.
Vabbè.
Non sei soddisfatto?
Un po'.
Un po', eh. Ma delle persone non sei soddisfatto o di qualcosa in particolare?
No, non in particolare, però...
Ma perché hai visto qualcosa che non va bene?
No. Tu dietro c'è metolla, metoppa, metolla, cini, metolla. Senti, giovane.
That night I had this dream about death and rebirth. Memories about my death. It was in a terrible place, like a Chinese detention place. The feeling was about fear. Fear of the following day would be torture. The first moment, the heart stopped, like heart attack. And I was really afraid.
So I decide, final, okay, do also this last thing. I want to finish what was still missing.
To follow this path or achieve something, we have to go through all experience. I felt like I have to take responsibility. I went without saying much. I just wrote an email to my father and I said, okay, I'm going to Tibet. E quindi loro cosa si aspettano da questa visita, da questa mia visita lì?
Mette il trono,
sì, poi
riconosce tutto il popolo, dopo basta. Insegna anche qualcosa di insegnamento.
Ma sei sicuro?
Per loro buono, solo questo basta. Che cosa aspettare?
Siamo già arrivati?
Questo risolviamo.
Scendiamo?
No, no.
Non devo scendere. Vado.
più di 2 mesi, tutti i gente è diventato come un pazzo. Perché è arrivato tu? Allora ho detto dal 1958 fino adesso non hai visto il maestro. Prima del problema della cinese, che Kenzo faceva il maestro della questa zona, mio padre faceva capo della questa zona. E quando ho deciso di scappare insieme, chi è guidato dalla Kenzo Rinpoche e mio padre.
너는 처음에 비슷해 시거나 저는 약간 근처서 쇼테리 니마치 콜론도 쇼홍 때문에 쇼즈즈지 니마치를 자혼을 네 쇼즈즈지 대들던도 니마치 네 헤이 비슷해 시거나 간이 치던데 아니면 니 파긴 했으지 다 들이 뭐 가는 거죠 또 요 등에 거지니까 다리 때 너는 che tanto non è tanto la sorpresa, che si è tanto la sorpresa. Tanto non che niente dice. Cos'è lì delle vo? Dentro ma te monta cucuma che cara te ti vede la mare ci ti fai.
Rispetto a te come uguale la presidente Kenze. E per esempio lui ha avuto 2 punti dalla fucile quando è andato seguito da Kenze, no? E deciso di morire con la Kenze anche adesso lo stesso.
Questo era il panorama che avevo sognato. Con questo qua, io pensavo che era nuovo, era cosa del... proprio che nel sogno non c'era la base di cemento. Però guardando da là in giù era proprio questo il paesaggio, col monastero e tutto. Che pirla che non l'ho capito. È il futuro quello. Devo dire che è giusto, che questa era l'età giusta. E poi c'erano questi qui per l'offerta e di là gli strumenti, però nel sogno non era questa la sequenza di tank, era diversa la sequenza. Non erano questi tank qua, era un po' diversa. Era tutta roba del genere, non c'era neanche questo damaro ridicolo. Però questi c'erano, proprio così.
Proprio quello?
Sì, infatti io non cercavo che non trovavo, proprio questo c'era.
I discovered that the dreams I had when I was 5 years old were more about future than past, because this small monastery and the egg were built only 3 years ago. So at least I understood that I did not wrong. Everyone has had a past life, you know, so you may remember something. However, it doesn't change much, you know. If you were rich or poor, it doesn't change anything. If you were a teacher or not, it doesn't change anything. If you get back your knowledge, this is something. What I'm sure, I'm asking all the time Rinpoche, he's not answering. When something is awakening, it's really beyond form. And all this experience and understanding I have now, it's like kind of stage. I don't think it's something like arrival, no? It's more like a passage. first aim, goal, final goal of all teaching is always discovering our real nature. Because when I was a small child, I was studying with nuns, Catholic school, But I don't translate like I was in monastery,
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
When I'm working, I cannot even practice. It's really stress.
But what you
obstacles.
do exactly?
I'm programming, so you know what I'm talking about.
See, but stress is all job, not only this. You have to train to do what you are doing without importance. Like a child is playing.
But how to do that?
But you have to get back child, no? Ciao.
After Tibet, my father was not reacting in a special way. I don't know if he was happy or unhappy. For sure he was interested. For me, this is fine. I'm not expecting anything.
Mannaggia, ho sbagliato principio. Invece di fare maestro di docente, poteva fare musicista. Era più facile.
Più facile, Magari c'erano anche più soddisfazioni. Ma alle volte quando uno è giovane fa questi errori.
Ho scelto il sbagliato.
Gli errori di gioventù si pagano tutta la vita dopo,
Vieni via di qui. Niente più ti lega a questi luoghi, neanche questi fiori azzurri. Via, neanche questo tempo grigio, pieno di musiche e di uomini che ti son piaciuti. It's wonderful, it's wonderful, it's wonderful. Good luck, my baby, it's wonderful, it's wonderful, it's wonderful. I dream of you. Chips, chips. Do 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 do. Chi-boom. Do 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 do. Chi-boom, chi-boom, boom. Do 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 do. Via, vieni via con me. Entra in questo amore buio, non perderti per niente al mondo. Via, non perderti per niente al mondo. Lo spettacolo d'arte varia di uno innamorato di te. It's wonderful, it's wonderful, it's wonderful. Good luck, my baby, it's wonderful, it's wonderful, it's wonderful. I dream of you. Do 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 do, chi-boom, chi-boom, boom. Do 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 do, chi-boom, chi-boom, boom. Do 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 do. Vieni via con me. Entra in questo amore buio, pieno di uomini. Via, entra e fatti un bagno caldo. C'è un accappatoio azzurro, fuori piove un mondo freddo. That's wonderful, that's wonderful, that's wonderful. Good luck, my baby, that's wonderful, it's wonderful, that's wonderful. I dream of you. Chips, chips, chips. Do 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 do. Chi-boom, chi-boom, boom. Yeah. Entra e fatti un bagno caldo. C'è un accappatoio azzurro, fuori piove un mondo freddo. That's wonderful, that's wonderful, that's wonderful. Good luck, my baby, that's wonderful, it's wonderful, that's wonderful. I dream of you. Chips.